Live from Southwest Florida's news leader, this is Wink News at 5.
I left the kitchen, went in the den, grabbed my 89-year-old mother, put her on the floor, laid on top of her.
I mean, I could feel debris going, hitting the sides of my legs and my arms and stuff, and I just sat there, with my legs balled up, fetal position.
First on Wake News at 5, people are still in disbelief. An EF2 tornado tore through southwest Cape Coral Saturday night, overturned cars, fences, pieces of homes still littering the streets. That's near Beach Parkway and Chiquita Boulevard. But tonight, after the storm, cleanup is well underway in Southwest Florida's largest city.
And as people begin to rebuild, we're hearing incredible stories of survival and support. Wink News is covering the aftermath of the Cape Coral tornado unlike any other station in Southwest Florida. This is a view from above the destruction. The National Weather Service says Saturday's twister was an EF2 and had a peak wind of 132 miles an hour.
It was on the ground for 3.4 miles and it was 182 yards wide. That's almost 2 football fields. The Weather Service says the tornado damaged 178 structures. Cape Police say estimates put total damage at $6.5 million. Now the good news, only 3 people had minor injuries and no one died. Wake News has complete team coverage of this rare tornado. Chief Meteorologist Jim Farrell will analyze the storm's path and destruction. Wake News reporter Adam Wright is one of many reporters talking to people who are putting their lives back together.
But we begin at 5 with Wake News anchor Chris Safadi, who's leading our live coverage. And Chris, you were out there last night. Have things changed since then?
Yeah, things have changed a lot, Bob. In fact, things have changed a lot in the last hour. It's the end of the workday here. Time to go home, except for the folks in this part of Cape Coral. There's no real home to come home to. We're kind of at the end of what I would call phase 1, the emergency assessment and fixing whatever you can quickly. The tarps and the boards. This house right here behind me is boarded up. It is a complete loss. It will have to be torn down. We're going to tell you an incredible survival story about what happened in the house during the tornado here in about 5 minutes. Right next to it, you can see, and I'll get completely out of the way, a boat overturned that was in this driveway. These folks in this White House next door, they were in St. Louis over the weekend. They're coming home today to see what's happened to their house. It is unlivable right now. And then as we go down the street and we see a truck go by, these guys have been boarding up houses on this street since we've been here. All the blue tarps down there, all the trees down. There is a lot of damage here. Let's take you live. We have a drone flying live right now over all of this, and you can kind of get a sense of the pattern of the damage in this neighborhood. Some parts of the street hit much harder than others. Some houses spared entirely, but on this south side of Beach Parkway here west of Agua Linda, this is one of the worst hit areas that we've seen. There'll be a lot of work to finish up here. Cape Coral, though, as a whole, the damaged areas, as they said, 178 houses damaged. A lot of people without power this time last night. Things are starting to get better, but slowly in some cases. Wake News reporter Adam Wright is covering that part of the story.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. The latest update we got is that just over 150 customers still without power here. That's down from about 200 when the day began. And LCEC says their crews will continue working until the last customer gets their power restored. Now, we're on Southwest 17th Place, and take a look over here. I want to show you this. This is just one example of the damage that's still visible in the neighborhoods out here. This huge tree snapped right at the base. And take a look over here to the right. You can see it fell on the roof of this house and is completely covering the entire front of this home here. Luckily, nobody inside seriously hurt. And this is just one small example of the millions of dollars estimated in damage citywide.
It was a beautiful night 2 days ago.
This is what's left of Mark Polly's home of 10 years. His wife, Vicky, was home when the tornado came barreling through the neighborhood Saturday evening.
It just sounded like a huge freight train, scritching on metal coming through. I mean, I could feel debris going, hitting the sides of my legs and my arms and stuff. It was horrible.
Inside, a sign of just how lucky they really were. So this is your daughter's room?
Yes, the tornado came through, exploded the window. The ceiling is gone. She was at the neighbor's house 2 doors down.
But your daughter could have been here when this happened.
Yeah, she could have been, and thank God she wasn't.
The damage elsewhere, extensive and widespread. Throughout Monday, crews worked to clear debris and restore power to those still in the dark. Using the Soaring Sky drone, Wink News has been able to give you the clearest view from above of the devastation brought to hundreds of homes in the Southwest Cape area. What's it like seeing it in this condition?
Nah, not good. Not good at all. You know, I feel kind of like, you know, I'm glad to be alive.
Many people we've talked to today said they're still waiting on estimates of the damage of their homes. Many estimate themselves that it's in the tens of thousands of dollars, and many anticipate it taking months to get back to normal. Live in Cape Coral, Adam Wright, Wink News, now.
Thank you very much, Adam. Wink News is the Weather Authority. I'm here with Chief Meteorologist Jim Farrell. And Jim, you were live in the destruction zone last night, and you told us then that this is a very rare event for Southwest Florida.
I've been on duty here many years with you for about 33 years. This is the second strongest tornado I have ever seen in my tenure here in Southwest Florida. And let's review that drone video once again. So this was an unusual event to have a tornado not only that strong, but to stay on the ground that long. It was on the ground for over 3 miles, and as we analyze the damage video that you're looking at now on your TV screen, here's what we see. There's some very severe damage, then some moderate damage following the path of the tornado. In other words, the damage was not consistent, and there's a reason for that. Talking with the National Weather Service storm coordinators and just looking at the damage itself on this video, here's what we think happened. It was on the ground, it stayed on the ground for over 3 miles, but it pulsed. There was a pulsing to the intensity of the tornado. In other words, it got strong up to 132 miles per hour, and then perhaps a house or two later, it was not quite as strong. So with that pulsing in mind, that's why there was some great damage followed by some moderate damage, followed by some great damage. We'll get back to Chris now to get a recap of what it looks like now out on scene, but that would explain why the damage was erratic and not consistently devastating in the path of the tornado.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. And then also how ferocious the winds were would explain that boat that's between these two houses here that we're going to tell you more about in a second. But the survival stories are incredible. This house that's on the left of your screen here, there's an incredible story about how 2 people survived this inside there. My colleague Carolyn Brewster is here with that.
That's right. I talked to the man who lives inside that home. He takes care of his 89-year-old elderly mother. He actually had to lay on top of his mother to keep her safe, all while that tornado was carrying his truck and the boat across the house, on top of it and behind it. Let's take a listen to his story.
Pulled my 89-year-old mother out of her chair into the floor, laid across the top of her, and it was like it got so loud you couldn't hear yourself think, and then just explosions and bright flashes of light, and you know, it was just like a war zone.
Dave Hawk telling us about the terrifying moments as the tornado ripped through his home.
When I was getting my mom out of the chair, I had a thought, I hope we make it, okay? You know, and then it just, you know, it was like 45 seconds of mayhem. And then, you know, it's like, okay, I'm okay, she's okay, you know, all right, we did this.
The room he and his mother took shelter in was one of only 2 areas undamaged on the entire property. The rest destroyed. And the worst of the damage Dave hadn't even seen yet.
And, you know, I looked at my driveway, and then I walked over there, and I'm like, wait a minute. Where's my truck? Where'd I park my truck?
It's believed the truck flew up, went over the house into the backyard, and ended up underneath his boat. He says this damage isn't nearly as bad as it looked even just yesterday. Since then, crews and local business owners have been coming out to help.
And it's like, wow, you know, the community kind of pulls together. You know, I mean, we feel good about it, but I'll rebuild, I'll be fine, you know. Probably the worst thing that's ever happened, but I survived.
And that's what's important, is that they did survive. His mother left with just a minor scratch on her after all of that. And if you take a look at his house, you can see it's all boarded up. It is going to be condemned. Now, luckily, he is staying with family.
And we'll take you a live look too at the boat, a closer look. We have another camera on the other side. Remember, this boat was attached to a pickup truck. Both of them went over that house in this storm. Well, that man was protecting his mother inside. Those are going to be hauled away pretty soon. But back out live here on this street, there's a lot of folks now who have a lot of cleanup to do, and most of them will be able to get back into their homes, but not necessarily these.